Welcome to KetoMealsAndRecipes.com. In this video, I'm not going to be providing macros for the two recipes I'm demonstrating today, that is, for either the bone broth or the Italian chicken soup. The reason is because I don't really know how to calculate the macros accurately enough to have any meaning. That's because the ingredients that I'm using in the broth and soup are removed at the end and not eaten. So basically you just have the liquid and the particulates in it. But we all know bone broth is one of the healthiest foods you can make and feed your body. So I thought I would share my chicken bone broth recipe with you, because my chicken bone broth recipe is based on my mom's Italian chicken soup recipe. I know that there are a lot of bone broth recipes out there, but I found most chicken and other bone broth recipes to be flavorless and did not like the flavor, especially if I just wanted to drink the plain broth in a cup. And at the end, I will explain the few changes needed to make an absolutely delicious chicken soup. So let's get started and make this easy slow cooker or crock pot version of bone broth. The reason that I weigh everything out for all my recipes, besides wanting accurate macros, is by weighing everything out and preparing ahead of time, you will get a consistent result in all the recipes that you make. So let's begin with the chicken thighs, chicken feet or chicken wings, carrots, celery stalk and leaves, 1 large tomato, white or yellow onion, quartered, whole cloves of garlic, flat leaf Italian parsley, salt, dry oregano, 2 whole bay leaves, apple cider vinegar, thyme seasoning, and black peppercorns. In this batch of my chicken bone broth, I'm using chicken feet, and the reason is because they're very high in collagen. But you can substitute with chicken wings or your leftover wing tips, especially if you save them from other recipes. There's really not that much prep to make the bone broth. You simply have to just weigh things out and make sure that your vegetables are washed and cut into pieces that will fit into your slow cooker or pot. Once you've placed all your ingredients in your slow cooker or very large stock pot, add just enough water to fill the pot and then cover with a lid. If you're doing it with a slow cooker, set the timer for 12 hours on low. And if you're doing it on the stove top, put it on a large element set to low. The total cooking time should be about 16 to 24 hours for best results, meaning that you get as much collagen out of the bones that you've used. The longer that you cook your bone broth, the more collagen will come out. But please note that the taste will be affected. The longer you cook, the stronger the bone broth will taste. So therefore you decide what balance of collagen and strong taste works best for you. For chicken bone broth, I usually cook it for about 16 to 18 hours because that's the point where I like the taste the best. When it's done, turn off your slow cooker or stovetop and let the broth cool a bit. And remove your carrots and chicken thighs or any other large meat solids, and set the meat and carrots aside. Strain everything through a colander. Press the rest of the ingredients with a spatula to get as much of the wonderful flavor dripping through into your broth. The remaining ingredients I simply discard. If I'm not intending to use my bone broth right away, I pour the broth into mason jars, stopping at about 1 inch from the top. This chicken bone broth can be stored in an airtight container such as the mason jar in your refrigerator for about 5 to 7 days. If you're planning to keep it longer, I strongly suggest you put it in your freezer. In this way, it will stay good for several months. Now to make my mom's most amazing chicken soup, you simply have to make the following changes. First of all, I add an extra tomato and a little bit more celery. The other thing that is different is I do not add any vinegar. I don't use as many chicken feet. Instead, I use a whole carcass from a rotisserie or oven-made whole chicken. The bones from a roasted chicken add an amazing layer of flavor to your chicken soup. Then I place all these ingredients in a pot, fill it up with lots of water, set it to the stovetop setting on my slow cooker, or put it on a large element on my stovetop at medium and bring it up to a light boil. Once it has reached a light boil, I reduce the heat to medium-low and let it cook covered for 3 hours, but leave a little gap with your lid so that there's room for the steam to escape. I would suggest that once an hour you stir the ingredients and check on the water level. If too much water is evaporating, I'd suggest you first add water to bring it back up to where you started, and then reduce your heat. A lot of evaporation means you're cooking the soup way too quickly. You can add more water up to 1 hour before your soup is done. When the chicken soup is done, I strain it through a sieve, and as I did with my chicken bone broth, I remove the carrots and any chicken meat, especially if I had to use chicken thighs, because I didn't have the bones of a roast chicken. As with the bone broth, any extra soup I have, I ladle out and store in mason jars, usually about 1 quart size. I shred any chicken meat I have and cut the carrots into medallions, and then place these into a bowl. This will make a really hearty and light meal. One visible difference between the bone broth and the chicken soup that you'll notice is that the chicken soup is much clearer. I hope you give this recipe a try. Enjoy. Thank you for watching. Please share this recipe with someone you know would like to make their own chicken bone broth or chicken soup. I would really appreciate that. And I hope to see you next time. The link to my blog where you will get the written recipe is provided in the description below.